The scripture reading today comes from the letter of 1 Corinthians. It is a letter Paul wrote to the church in Corinth. I will be reading chapter 12, verses 4 through 11. Now there are varieties of gifts, but the same Spirit. And there are varieties of services, but the same Lord. And there are varieties of activities, but it is the same God who activates all of them in everyone. To each is given the manifestation of the Spirit for the common good. To one is given through the Spirit the utterance of wisdom, and to another the utterance of knowledge according to the same Spirit. To another, faith by the same Spirit. To another, gifts of healing by the one Spirit. To another, the working of powerful deeds. To another, prophecy. To another, the discernment of spirits. To another, various kinds of tongues. To another, the interpretation of tongues. All of these are activated by one and the same Spirit, who allots to each one individually, just as the Spirit chooses.
All right, I'm going to be speaking to you all about my experiences at camp this past summer. This past summer, this year, was my first year attending Tullow Oaks as a member of the Regional Youth Cabinet, commonly referred to as RYC. It was a new and special experience, particularly after spending my whole life as just a regular camper at Tullow Oaks. And for those of you who don't know, RYC helps with the majority of the planning and execution of the CYF camp at Tullow Oaks. So the CYF camp is the high school level camp. Our duties include choosing the counselors and the keynoters, planning the daily events, running the small groups, and so on. Dealing with all this behind-the-scenes stuff was a new experience for me, and even though it was a lot of extra work and responsibility, I very much enjoyed getting to cultivate and help take charge of one of my favorite summer experiences. I've spent many, many summers at Tullow Oaks. It's always been an incredibly meaningful place to me, one full of joy, belonging, and good friends. Before I was on RYC, it was an experience that others had created for me to take part in and enjoy with everyone else. I went to camp, I had the time of my life, and I left camp, and that was that. But after I joined RYC, the whole experience of camp shifted for me. It transformed from something that I got to experience to something that I got to help create. Creation has always been my biggest passion, and so getting to take part in the creation of one of my best summer camps anyone could ask for is truly something special. And there's a lot of extra work that's required for RYC members when it comes to camp, but all that extra work is so worth it. Getting to combine my greatest passion and my favorite summer camp means the world to me, and I'm so glad that I, even as a youth, get to have this experience.
Today, I will be talking about Aiders. Yes, sex camp. Now, I find it somewhat difficult to explain just how much I did not know. The amount of learning and growth that I experienced at Aiders was unprecedented and certainly not expected by me. Between laughable moments like the Am I Normal video and the water games, empowering ones like Laura's story and evening worships that never failed to bring an interesting twist to the whole theme of worship. And the amazing camaraderie of my small group, the Chain Links. I wonder if I'll ever feel more fulfilled at camp. I've gone to camp since I was a preschooler. At first, it was just a fun little adventure to be had every summer, but throughout Cairo, it started to mean so much more to me. The friends I made, the counselors I met, and the experience I shared with others started to shape who I was as a person. Each year I learned something new, I became a better version of myself. At first, when Aiders rolled around, I thought it was no biggie. I wasn't excited, I just got out of 8th grade and recently finished with my family's yearly beach vacation. Everyone told me it was the best camp, but I had no idea. It ended up being immensely transformative, powerfully inspiring, and just plain awesome. In my opinion, there is no better thing to use a week of your summer on than Aiders camp. It's one of the best Tullow Oaks experiences, and I think that everyone should take part of it if they can. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Lily, and I will be talking to you guys about Cairo. I've always gone to a church summer camp before, but never something quite like Cairo. Beforehand, the year before last, I had gone to this summer camp and realized, I don't feel right in the things society has given me. I don't feel right being a normal straight person. Realized I was gay and realized that my camp didn't support that. And it was very hard going to this camp over and over again and realizing these people aren't being supportive. It used to be such a fun experience, but it wasn't anymore. Then I got to go to Cairo and the whole, my whole perspective changed. I never quite had been able to go to a summer camp quite like this. I've always wondered what it'd like to be in such a supporting community, and it was so fun to be able to be there. I felt like I could truly be myself. Thank you.
Hi, my name's Echo. I'm a senior this year, and I've been going to camp since day camp, which is in kindergarten. But every year when I go to camp, it feels like I'm finding a new part of myself. It's definitely a growing process every time I go. Some of my best friends I've gotten to know at camp. Definitely, I've grown in a lot of ways with finding new friends. Some of my friends are still go here. I definitely feel a connection with camp. Sorry, I'm really unprepared. Give me a second. When I'm at camp, I get really homesick, and I really like sleeping in my own bed at night. So a lot of times I complain about going home or wanting to go home, but usually by the end of camp, I don't want to go home. I really enjoy the people there. I enjoy the games that we get to do, and it's definitely some place where my faith and religion has grown, because before it was definitely, I was on the edge about my faith and who I wanted to be, but camp definitely guided me with that. It didn't teach me that I had to believe in God, or I had to go to church every week, or I have to do this, I have to do that. It's definitely taught me that I can be my own self, and I can have my own version of what I want my faith to be. And most of all, camp definitely helps me get away from my day-to-day normal. I can be really busy, but it just definitely helps me forget about that. It gives me a little vacation. It's a home away from home for sure. Anyways, that's it.
All right, good morning. I just want to start by apologizing about my voice. I had homecoming last night, and I sang like a crazy person until 2 in the morning. So, can't say anything about that. But if you don't know me, my name's Josie, and I'm a youth here at St. Andrew's Church. Throughout the last year, we've gone on mission trip to Minneapolis, and to Tall Oaks and youth group. All of these have been a safe place for me to be myself and say what I want to say. But firstly, I want to talk about youth group, because I love youth group, because we don't just talk about our religion, even though that's very important, and we talk about it a little bit, but we also talk about, drama at school, new movies coming out. We talk about our personal lives, and it's created a space for me to tell my stories and have fun. And then mission trip, we also had fun, because who wouldn't want to spend 7 hours on a car and 2 hours at McDonald's just trying to get a Happy Meal? True story. But for real, mission trip has always been amazing. This year we went to Minneapolis, like I mentioned, and the friendships I have had for a while grew even stronger through experiences. For example, anywhere we would drive, Echo would probably be asleep in the back, Izzy would be on music, and me and Ava would be jamming out like crazy people to Chapel Roan, which I love now. Thank you, Ava. It created a space for me to be funny and laugh with my friends. And lastly, Tall Oaks. If you know anything about Tall Oaks, it's how much we love it. Tall Oaks is an amazing place. You can be calm and more serious, but you can also laugh and play crazy games, and they probably have more games than that big stack that Chuck brought. That was actually perfect. Thank you, Chuck. But more importantly, it's a place where I have met some great friends. Some I only see at Tall Oaks, but every single time we see each other, we just reconnect like that. And it's given me new experiences and perspectives on life. If this sermon has given anything to you, I hope that it's how important this aspect of my life is, and hopefully yours too. Thank you.
Good morning. My name's Ava. I'm also a youth here. And as you heard, we went to Minneapolis for our past mission trip. And I learned two main takeaways from this trip. Number one is that Minneapolis has the best pizza. But on a more serious note, I learned that I'm not a very good activist. We walked into the George Floyd Memorial in George Floyd Square, where they had blocked off on, well, not blocked off, but on either side of the street, there were large sculptures of the Black Lives Matter fist. Near the center, in the exact spot he was killed, was a large mural on the ground of George Floyd. Around this was an abundance of flowers and candles and art pieces and gifts that people had left for the memorial. As we observed this memorial, a man approached us and asked where we were from. We told him we were from Kansas City. And he shared that he worked for the memorial and also asked what racial injustice places we had visited as a youth group in Kansas. We hadn't. He then asked us what our mission was in Minneapolis, which we responded with, to learn about racial injustice and then share with our church. He then told us that while learning is great, being active is more important. That was when I realized that I felt like a tourist. I immediately got on my phone to delete the pictures I took with the mindset of a tourist. It felt wrong for me to be standing on the site where a black man had been killed due to racist issues, down the street from a memorial of hundreds more people killed for the same reasons, as well as a sign that talked about the native land we were standing upon. I began to understand even more on why we were here and became grateful for the man who approached us. He helped me to understand that by simply being there, we were paying our respects, but we weren't changing anything. By being an activist, you help others understand why they are wrong, otherwise they will never do anything right. This was my main takeaway and mindset from this mission trip. It is from this takeaway that I crafted Ava's guide on how to be an activist. Number one, believe and want to help others believe in your cause, because if your heart and your mind aren't in it, nothing will change. Number two is learn and understand. If you don't understand the people, place, context, situation, and reasons for what you're acting on, you become at risk of spreading false information and following it yourself. You need to stay informed. And number three is do something. Protest, donate, speak. If you never act, you'll never be an activist, and you won't be able to make a difference if the information you hold in your mind doesn't leave you. Because while learning is great, being active is more important.